I will get it.
Alright, let's get this over with.
Whoa, 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 what is going on here?
It is time for performance evaluations. I will be giving interviews in the other room. It should not interfere with recording.
Oh. Okay.
I will interview one of the other clones. Please proceed with the episode.
Nice to be included.
Monsieur, would you be kind enough?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So let's get some cartoons and vodka and do them all night long. Are you ready for some fun? Drink 'em down, drink 'em down, drink 'em down. Drink 'em down, drink 'em down, drink 'em down. Oh.
I've talked before about how hard it is to cover long shonen action pieces, but it's also tricky to cover the ecchi sex comedies, because nothing dates faster than jokes about guys lusting after girls' boobs. I mean, have you actually watched the American Pie movies recently?
Two possible lesbians in their bras and panties.
Lesbians? Did you say lesbians?
So I was surprised when rereading Mx0 that it's pretty dang good. Mx0 opens with Taiga staring at the prestigious school he failed to get into because that damn woman laughed at him and ruined his interview, and he's gonna go in there and tell her he loves her. No, damn it, that she ruined his chances. But then he's spotted by a teacher floating 5 feet in the air. Mr. Hooch is convinced Taiga is a student who's trying to sneak out, drags him through the magical barrier, and then smacks Taiga's head off. This teacher's got some screws loose. If you thought that was bad, it's only gonna get worse. Just as Mr. Hooch is realizing he might have grabbed a non-student, Taiga's body takes the initiative and beats the shit out of him. He reattaches his head and runs smack dab into some bullies extorting money. He beats up one for not listening to him before sputtering out about the long-haired demon chasing him. The bullies are like, "No way you beat that teacher," and grab Taiga's neck with one of those cool wallet chains you had as a teenager. Meanwhile, we catch up with the girl from the exam. Her name is Aika, and she loves old man puns that don't translate into English at all. This is gonna be a running gag. Taiga spots her in the window while getting yoinked around. He takes his head back off to escape the chain and flings himself up to Aika. That is some quick thinking. He's keeping his head screwed on right. These write themselves. Taiga tries to have a talk with Aika, but he's also a head on the floor with a great view up lady's skirt, so he gets kicked around a bit before being ejected from the building. Taiga's body continues to be MVP and catches him just before the screwhead magic times out. The student body gets a message with Taiga's face instructing them to hunt him down. Fortunately, most of the students are unaccustomed to people just running up and decking them, so Taiga manages to escape until Hooch catches him. Hooch is pissed and prepares to erase Taiga's memory, which Taiga is not up for since he just found Aika. The fight tears up the science lab, and a lucky soccer ball kick causes an explosion. The whole student body runs up to see Taiga standing over the exploded body of the scariest teacher in the school, who just so happens to be Aika's daddy. Oopsie doodle. Most girls aren't impressed by you almost killing their family.
I told you to review a specific manga!
Your turn.
Taiga?
In the aftermath of Taiga's rampage, we get an info dump about magic in this world, and also apparently there's a rule that anyone who breaks the secrecy of magic school gets the boot, which in this case includes Professor Hooch. Hooch is not excited about losing his job, but then Taiga makes the oh-so-innocent suggestion that he could just be a student and then no one has to get kicked out. Well, Mr. Silvertongue gets to be a student now, with the major issue that he can't actually use magic yet, but the whole school thinks he's tough enough to take on a teacher. Now Taiga has to prevent people from realizing he has no magic powers, even though everyone is terrified of his supposed magic powers. Taiga has already proved himself to be a fighting badass capable of just knocking people out before they cast anything. He creates a persona of an aloof badass who won't use magic on people so far below his level that he might hurt them, which kinda works. He pairs up with Professor Hooch to fake some magic during magic tests, and that gets most of the doubt off of him. This isn't a harem, but let's knock out the cast of stereotypes. The ditzy love interest who uses illusion magic, the spoopy girl who uses voodoo dolls, the kung fu lesbian who uses size-changing magic, and the girl-obsessed pervert who uses magnet powers. Taiga eventually gets his own magic plate called an Mx0, which relies on the school's magic point system to function. So Taiga gets roped into working with the school's security committee, stopping magic troublemakers. But the work proves to be a bit much for his body, and he discovers a special function of the Mx0 plate: magic canceling. Wait. A tough guy with no magical powers joins the disciplinary committee of his magic high school and gets the power to cancel magic. This is the irregular at Magic High without the fascism. Okay. The first day of classes includes horticulture, where, brace yourself, they dig up mandrakes. But unlike in Harry Potter, mandrakes in this world protect themselves by projecting an illusion of a quivering naked woman begging for mercy.
Chidi, no, Chidi, please, don't hurt me. I don't want to die, please.
Proper magic plates block this illusion, so only Taiga can see the— oh, sweet Jeepus! This is brutal! The Mandrake thing leads into one of my favorite characters. On a magic cave spelunking expedition, Taiga bumps into the wild and powerful Mandrake Lucy. Well, powerful for a Mandrake. She heard of Taiga crying over the deaths of her sisters through the Mandrake vine. Swish! And decides to accompany him through the dungeon for funsies. Her magic sense gives Taiga the edge he needs to reach the end of the cave. In there, he finds a spring with a magic-boosting ring inside. That Lucy accidentally loot steals, so now she's a super powerful mandrake that can fly and turn invisible and all kinds of fun stuff, so she decides to leave the cave and join Taiga at school. Lucy is just a lot of fun as a character. She's cheerful and bright, but also likes to give Taiga shit whenever he tries to get romantic with Aika. Her magic is useful for Taiga to continue hiding his lack of magic, but she also just brings a lot of joy to proceedings, especially when she gets watered. It's important for a series to have fun side characters.
We like all the murder and especially like the extracurricular marketing.
Alright, 2 questions.
But we are concerned that your methods are getting stale.
Well, I've never killed a robot before.
Mx0 doesn't really have an overarching plot, it's just an action sex comedy, and a really funny one. There's a great joke where Lucy tries to whip up a Healy potion for Taiga, but accidentally gets covered in mosaic potion and spreads it around the school. So all the students look like they are doing something lewd, but they aren't, we swear. How did you know it was me? Your boobs. It's clever and a bit meta, though not as meta as the student whose magic is to shade himself with different manga artists' screen tones. And then there's the teacher whose magic is to reduce the body temperature of everyone who doesn't think his puns are funny. You immediately know what the punchline for this joke is gonna be, but damn it, it's still funny to see Aika giggling and clapping to the dad jokes. As for the sex comedy elements, they managed to walk a very fine line on this one. Just as an example, Taiga accidentally gropes Aika because she was invisible. She smacks him for this, but crucially, she doesn't blame him for it. A lightly perverted slapstick routine is all fine and dandy, but when it's also used as a butt-flipping status quo reset on a will-they-won't-they relationship that the whole friggin' story is built around, that's when I start to lose my patience. Love Hina is awful! The fan service is mostly tame. Even the famous peeping in the showers is stopped by an invisibility spell. The skirts are fairly short, but after Monster Musume, this kind of stuff is tame and only really jerk-off material for the most sheltered of horny teens. I was not expecting to like the action as much as I did. Far too much ink is spilled trying to explain the rules of this universe when it mostly boils down to just about anything you can think of. Students generally only have one spell they use or variations on a theme. Taiga, in spite of his early gut check performance, actually doesn't win that many fights through brute strength. More often he wins a moral victory after getting beaten into a bloody pulp, but it's okay because he's totally fine and violence is funny as long as it's consequence-free.
Your sadistic killing has gained a lot of viewers, so high marks. But the cops have been asking questions and it's getting expensive to pay them off. So tone down the murder.
Or I can just get better at cleaning up.
or that.
Mx0 takes place entirely in a scholastic context, so all the fights are pretty low stakes with only grades or bragging rights being on the line. So it's impressive how involving they are. I chalk this up to how tactical they become. Much like the magic system, the rules are a tad long-winded, but the end result is a lot of engaging battles between different types of magic that interact in unexpected ways. Since Taiga doesn't have magic, it has to turn into a showcase for the side characters to shine, and that's just dandy. And I think that's enough to get you started on this one. Mx0 is a pretty satisfying action comedy that's bite-sized by shonen standards, clocking in at just under 100 chapters. The mangaka Kano Yasuhiro has been plugging away for ages. I can recommend their more current title, Kiss Death, as well. Till next time, I'm Pluto Burns, and this has been Eagle Land.
Hey, sweetie. I was just wondering, am I getting a performance evaluation?
My objectivity subroutines will not allow me to give a performance evaluation to someone I am dating.
Oh, darling, that's so romantic.